Hey guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Watches TV, where I watch all the television shows, and then I come over here and I react to them. And today I'm going to react to the new Netflix television show that is called 1992. It just came out last week, and it is 6 parts, and I literally binge watched it in 2 days. I started watching it late the other night, and I could have finished the entire thing in one setting, but it got too late, and I was like, okay, you need to go to bed. So I think that I'm going to start with the Netflix shows and like the Apple shows. I don't know that I'm going to come over here and do like a full reaction to it and spoil it, so I'm not going to spoil the show for you guys over here today. I think I'm going to start a new thing where I talk, I don't know what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it something like, you know, binge it or trash it kind of thing, right? And where I tell you guys if I think that you should binge watch this show or if I think you should pass on the show. So that's what I'm going to do when I watch these shows. I'll let you guys know if I think it's binge worthy or if I think it's just a waste of your time. Now, on the true crime and the Sister Wives and the reality shows and stuff, oh no, we're going to go in. I'm going to give full spoilers and all that kind of stuff. But as far as like the limited series shows and things like that, I will just let you guys know whether or not, I'll tell you what it's a little bit about, some things I thought about it, and then I will tell you whether I think it's binge worthy or whether I think you should trash it, okay? So let's talk about 1992. So I'm kind of like responding to these shows out of order. Yesterday I reacted to The Kings of Tupelo, which is a new true crime documentary on Netflix. I watched that last week. Then after that I watched La Palma, which is a 4-part series on Netflix. And then after La Palma, I was like, I need a new show to watch that's like just as good as this, I could sink my teeth in to and like really get into. And so I started watching 1992. Oh, before that I had finished No Good Deed on Netflix. So No Good Deed and La Palma I will be reacting to over here. And then last night when I finished 1992, I started watching Black Doves on Netflix. So I've been watching all the shows on Netflix lately, and I will let you know whether or not I think that they are binge worthy or you should trash them. So let's get into 1992. It was interesting because when I was looking it up, there's actually another show that came out in 2015 that's very similar concept to the show. Kind of like the background is that show in 2015 is about a police investigator and a prostitute working together to take down this political corruption. That's kind of the background story to what this is. But this is very, very interesting. And I'll have to tell you, when I first started watching it, I was like, well, it's dubbed over, and you can watch it in subtitles, or you can watch it dubbed over in English, or you can watch it in Spanish if you want to. But I was kind of like, at first, I was like, you know, sometimes when shows are dubbed over, like La Palma was dubbed over, and it was dubbed over fantastically. Last year, I watched A Storm for Christmas, which is, you know, it's a Norwegian show, and it's dubbed over. It was dubbed over fantastically as well. I wouldn't say this one was fantastically dubbed over. It wasn't horrible at all. It was watchable, and I thought that it matched up and stuff like that. But there was just something about it where it was like the acting, I don't know how to explain it. It's like the acting, I think, was better than the dubbing, if that makes sense. And that's just for, you know, people that speak English. If you speak Spanish, and, you know, obviously, like, you know, my husband would watch this in Spanish and things like that. So, I didn't really know what to think going into this. When you look at the poster from it has this, like, bird with this, like, long beak. But I didn't know what this bird was. And so I thought it was, like, one of those, like, gas mask things. I just watched Teacup not too long ago. It reminded me of, like, the gas mask on the poster from Teacup, and that's what I kind of thought it was. So I really had no idea what this show was about. And I'll be honest with you, I watched, like, 15 or 20 minutes of it, and I was like, I'm not really sure I'm into this. So the show is, let me get on here, I'm right now on Rotten Tomatoes. It says, here's a synopsis, which is very short. After her husband dies in an explosion, a grieving widow and haunted ex-cop investigate a series of murders with sinister ties to the Seville Expo of 1992. Okay? So it is starring Marian Alvarez as Amparo, who is the wife of the man that's killed, and Fernando Valdivieso, who plays Richie, who is the investigator. He used to be a police investigator, and I'm not going to get too much into this, but he used to be this police investigator, this detective, that was fired from his position for drinking too much. So, for those of you that do not know, on Tuesday, I celebrated 30 years of sobriety, and addiction and sobriety is something that I love watching TV shows. I love when it's kind of woven into shows. I love when it's talked about. I love when it's done right. And this show gets it right. They talk about 12-step programs. They talk about addiction. They show him an active addiction. They show him craving. I think they do a very good job of that. and I loved it. He reminds me a little bit, one of my favorite ever shows, thrillers, is The Killing, which ended years ago. I think it was 4 seasons. The first 3 seasons were on AMC, and the 4th season was Netflix picked up and finished it. He kind of reminds me of the guy that played, who has also been in, like, I think he was in House of Cards and other things like that, but he's in that show. He reminds me a lot of the guy that played the detective that was also an addict in that show in recovery. Reminds me of Richie on 1992. So what it's about is that Richie no longer works for this police department anymore. And so he, in Seville, and so he, not in Seville, in, I think it takes place, like, the first part is in Madrid. And so he no longer works for them anymore, and now he works for a private security agency. And so he is outside as this security guy, supposed to be watching this building where this person that he knows, but you don't know how he knows him, is working. And the building blows up, and the guy is killed. And they rush in there, and he rushes in, and he brings out the wife, who is Amparo. And he rescues her from the fire. So you don't know how he knows this guy, but you know that he knows this guy better than just him being his boss. And that's kind of like, they feed that out over time. So she wants to find the killer of who killed her husband. And you know it's kind of like the serial killer thing, because this bird is the mascot of the 1992 Expo in Seville, which is like this World's Fair kind of thing. And so this bird is from that expo, okay? And it's like this little figurine that he leaves, the serial killer leaves in the hand of the people that he kills, right? At first you think it's just kind of like this random killing that he's doing. But then this Amparo, the wife of the man that died, she wants to start looking into it because she wants to seek revenge on the guy that killed her husband. So she works with this Richie, retired police investigation, that is, he is so fine, okay? He is so good looking. He is so fine. And so she starts doing this, investigation with him. And he's, like, reluctant to do it at first. And then they start working together. Okay, where this goes in 6 episodes is unbelievable to me, okay? So it's about a serial killer, okay? But it's also about a political conspiracy and scandal that was covered up, okay? And that it's a serial killer, but a very targeted serial killer that has a revenge motive, and how these two people are getting tied up into it with police corruption that is still going on at the time for this political cover-up, okay? That has to do with a lot of money. And these two people that are in between the middle of it, which is Richie and Amparo, they're kind of like in the middle of it trying to solve the whole thing. So it's like citizen detectives trying to solve this whole thing. It reminds me a lot because they're constantly like on the run, and they're like sleeping in hotels. They even go to Miami at one point, and they get caught in this hurricane in Miami. They're like sleeping in hotels. They're on the run. It has very much the vibes to me of, if you ever like read by Dan Brown the book Da Vinci Code or watched the movie with Tom Hanks. It reminds me of Da Vinci Code, where they're constantly on the run. They're constantly being chased and followed, and they're kind of like running for their life. But they're also at the same time trying to investigate something. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with like the religiosity of Da Vinci Code, but it has the same vibe and same feeling to it. I was just completely blown away by it. I was talking to my husband about it earlier, and he was like, well, is it just 1 season? And I said, yeah. And I go, I kind of feel like maybe it left it open for there to be a 2nd season, but it conclusively ends as 1 season. And it was fantastically done. I cried a little bit at the end of it. It was so well done. It was so exciting to watch. I was really like invested in these characters. It was interesting because I'm somebody that is a reader and a watcher of television, like a reader of books and watcher of television, that if you can give me well-developed characters, I can just like get into it right away, right? And everybody from Richie to Amparo to, I mean, they interview prostitutes, I mean, to the detectives that work on the case. I mean, like, you really get to know them as people and get invested in them as characters. You either like them or dislike them very strongly. And they show a lot of the countryside of Spain. They're in the train a lot. It's very exciting. I mean, the fact that this was done in 6 episodes just blew me away. And it was so, so well done. I didn't know, and I love when I go on a show and I don't know what to expect. It's like I just started Black Doves last night, and I didn't really know what to expect. A couple people I talked to were like, it's okay. I'm on the 2nd episode, and I'm loving it so far. So 1992 is, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 10 out of 10 as far as binge-worthy. It's definitely not a trash it show. I would definitely watch it. It is so good. It is a fantastic thriller. There is not, I will say this, there's not tons of gore in it. It does have to do, just to let people know this in case they're triggered by this, it does have to do with people dying dying by fire, in case that's an issue, and like victims of being burned and things like that. That's a huge part of it. The only gore that is associated with it is that kind of like seeing the remains of that from time to time, but it's not done in a really, like, there's not extraordinary gore in the show. So just let you know that. But I thought it was fantastically done. I loved it. It was so good. I love the chemistry between Richie, the investigator, and the grieving wife, Amparo, and that kind of goes back and forth. I love the discussion of alcoholism that weaves through this whole thing. And there's a lot in there as well. The character development. And on top of that, it's just an exciting show to watch. It's so well done. And I was so happy with it. And I wish they would come out with a season 2. They leave it open at the end that there could be a season 2, but it would be completely different than what, maybe, I don't know. It could be something that comes off the edge of this, but I doubt it. And it was so well done. But they left it open that it could either be a follow-up to what happened in this season, because they kind of leave some like endings that you're not really sure what happened with at the end, right? But then it could also be a completely different thing, like how Robert Langdon from the, Da Vinci Code goes on to do other mysteries as well. So I don't know. It left it open for a season 2. I would love another season of this. The chemistry, and I don't mean necessarily like a romantic chemistry or anything like that, but just the chemistry between all these characters. There's this police detective, supervisor that Richie used to work for. It's just like even the fatherly relationship that he has with Richie is like fantastic. And just the dialogue is really well done in the show. It's really, I mean, and I never knew what was going to happen next. I will say that. I never knew what was going to happen next. It feels more like you're watching a major motion picture than you're watching a TV show. There's so many great TV shows today, but I would definitely recommend 1992. It is totally 100% binge worthy. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.